Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we are going to be looking at AI and if OpenAI is a WeWork type cult, how billionaires are using their money to pay off influencers, that they are funding influencers to push certain agendas and to do possibly nefarious things. And we'll maybe be even looking at the overthinking trap and how to get out of it. Okay. We are living in strange times. We are living in times of crises. There is a potential World War III looming right now in the Middle East. The world is against Iran. Iran is going rogue, flying around, firing off missiles in every single direction in the hopes to disrupt the current world order, in hopes to disrupt the Americans because they launched the attack first. And it is having global geopolitical consequences all across the globe, which are being felt everywhere. We will bound to be seeing a increase in oil prices, which will have a knock-on effect into the wider economy. And you have to remember, okay, that all these things are happening, and when you start feeling it via increased prices, delays in cargo getting to your country, um, when prices start to skyrocket, you will feel the effects in your pocket, right? It will hit your wallet hard. And this is something that you've not asked for. This is something that is totally out of your control, but you are the person probably being affected by it most. I mean, think about the people who are living in those places, people who are in Dubai right now, in Tehran, in Israel. Now, all these people across the globe who are being hit by drones, missiles, who are having sleepless nights. These people have not asked for this. Okay, these decisions were made by elites, by powerful people, by the governments, who are supposedly working for the interest of the gate of their citizens, for the interest of the main people across the globe. However, we are not the decision makers. Okay, we are the people who are totally out the loop, but they are making decisions on our behalf. And you have to ask yourself, are they actually making those decisions on your behalf, or are they actually perpetuating a greater interest for their own people, for their own secret families, for the secret members clubs that they are part of, the shadow governments that they are part of, the World Economic Forum, which seems that most of these governments are subscribed to. Powerful people are meeting in Davos, and the CEO of the World Economic Forum was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, was mentioned several times in the Epstein files, and he has recently resigned. What does he have to hide? Okay, the fact that he has to resign his position. Could he not have told us the truth of what was going on, why he is mentioned there in the Epstein file so often? He chose not to do so, and therefore run away. And now in the media, it'll be like, oh, we got rid of the bad apple, but okay, what about all the people in the background who are also bad apples, right? I think Jeffrey Epstein's personal secretary is also a member of the World Economic Forum. I mean, when you see those types of connections, it makes you really wonder what is going on. And if you're somebody like me who, was part of the system, a cog in the machine, climbed the corporate ladder, making ends meet, thinking that one day there'll be a big payoff. If you're somebody like me who realized early on that that this is not how the world should work, this is not benefiting me, and I am somebody who was disgusted by it. I'm somebody who decided to leave that system, and the only solution that is left is for you to establish your own system, to establish your own game, so that you can be the new ruling class, so that you can be part of the new establishment, the new world order. And here at Raw Instinct, I am sending out a message. I am recruiting people to join the Royal Alliance of Kings, for you to become a king, to become a point of authority, so that you are the new decision maker in the world, so that you are the person who is in charge, because the world needs good people to be in charge of a new system, an alternative for people to live in, okay? Because we weren't advised, we weren't asked about what is going on. We are now establishing new kingdoms, establishing new nations, so that when shit like this happens again, we are ready to take over. We are ready to offer the world a new alternative, okay? And the first place that we are starting is the WeWork cult. How AI is becoming a new WeWork cult. Let's jump straight in. Let's see what's
realizing that everybody made a huge mistake. Everyone has invested in this thing for really effectively no reason. The actual data keeps showing that there is no productivity growth. What we're seeing here is the beginning of a hysterical episode, following another hysterical episode where everyone said that something was happening when it wasn't. And I sound sarcastic, but look at the data. 90% of them said no impact on employment or productivity. Literally nothing changed other than they spent a lot of money on something and everyone had to use it. But yes, this is WeWork too, except it's so much worse.
Joining me on the Tech Report today is writer of Where's Your Ed At and the host of the Better Offline podcast, Ed Zitron. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I saw a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, which revealed that 6,000 CEOs that it surveyed across the US, Europe, and I think Australia as well, 90% of them saw no impact on employment or productivity in the last 3 years from the adoption of AI. The study points to the information revolution of the computer, where computers were sold and productivity growth was expected. But in fact, due to the overwhelming amount of information that these computers are producing,
So far, AI was promised to revolutionize people, to increase productivity, to make our lives easier. However, the numbers that are coming in are showing people that, there has been no increase in productivity, that there has been no increase in, any benefits, any tangible benefits that are seen by this new technology, which is, when you look at the stock market, that these companies are overvalued, that it is very clearly a AI bubble that is forming right now in the stock market, that so many people are investing in that new technology. You have to wonder that once people realize what the actual numbers are behind it, that there is no increase, what will really happen, okay? And it kind of is like a Ponzi scheme, where all these companies are kind of, lending money to each other, investing in each other to prop up the share prices, to prop up the valuations of these companies. Like OpenAI has invested, like $10 billion recently in Nvidia, which sends the share price of that stock further up. But there is no intrinsic value. There is no actual productivity being seen, being felt. And when you realize that they are kind of just using normal people, money from normal people to fund their own agendas, to fund their own schemes that they have working in the background, it becomes clear that this is a scheme not to benefit the normal person, the layman. It is there to benefit the elites, so that they can siphon off money. And then when shit hits the fan, when those prices drop, that you will be left holding the bag and you will be left in a crisis. And then the only people that you can rely on is the government, the elites at the top.
productivity actually slowed. I mean, anyone that is familiar and uses AI is probably hearing alarm bells at this point, because they know that that's kind of what's happening now. There's just too much information being made by AI that it's actually slowing things down. Do you think history is repeating itself?
I mean, 1948, we'd also lost a lot of people very recently due to a war. And on top of that, the introduction of the computer was nothing like the introduction of AI. Mini computers sound small. They were very large. These were room-sized computers, and then eventually terminal-sized computers. What you would now find as a server rack was one computer. It was the very early days of what they could actually do. In this case, when it comes to AI, it's one of the most evenly distributed and accessible things of all time. You actually can't get away from it. It's harder to not use AI than it is to use it. Because if you load a product, go use Google. You type in a search, nope, you're using a large language model, asshole. You have to use that now. You pick up your phone. Oh, Apple Intelligence wants to read you.
And you have to realize this: if it's not increasing productivity, if it's not increasing, or increasing productivity, adding anything valuable, why are these tech companies pushing it, so prevalently onto you as a person, right? As onto the global population. Like this guy said that, when you do use Google now, most likely, at the top, you always get the answer generated by AI. And it is in order for you to reduce your capacity to think, right? The global elites don't want you to think. They want you to be told what to do. Okay. Now people get very skeptical when it is another person kind of telling you what to do, because they're like, well, who the fuck are you? However, if AI gives you an answer and tells you what to do, or the right way to act in this scenario, you're more likely to do it, okay? Because you're like, well, you're unsure. Like, you as a person, you're unsure at this moment. You're asking Google, you're asking this AI, this LLM, and it produces an answer. And because of your uncertainty, and you're kind of ashamed to ask a real person, right, for advice, because there is sometimes a little bit of stigma, a little bit of shame attached to it, you're more likely to do it. And then you pass off. And if it's successful, for example, you're like, oh yeah, I came up with it, right? And you don't give the credit to AI. But you, in your private life, in your own thoughts, becoming not confident of your own thoughts anymore, and you are turning to AI to tell you what to do, to tell you how to live, to tell you what the right thing is. And the more you do it, the more your decision making part of your brain is becoming weaker and weaker, until the point that it becomes so fatigued that you don't trust yourself anymore. Okay. And that is what the elites want. The governments want you to not trust yourself, to not trust your own judgment, to do as you're told by the AI LLMs. And who knows what they're programming in the back end of those programs, right? Are they telling you, are those, AI software, is ChatGPT trying to tell you to, go push you down a path of, which is actually not beneficial for you, but it benefits the wider tech companies, the governments, right? Are they trying to literally weaken you, weaken your resolve, weaken your decision making? And that is what I think is happening. Here at Raw Instinct, we are staying strong. We are. I encourage you to trust your judgments, to go and make mistakes, to not fear consequences. Okay, to learn from your mistakes, to learn from your tries. Because that is the only way that you can strengthen your decision making. That is the only way you can build self-esteem. That is the only way that you can remain strong in a society where everyone else is becoming, idiotic. It is, if you've seen the film Idiocracy, that is where we are headed, where people aren't trusting themselves anymore, where IQ is falling. And then the winners will be the people at the top, the people who kept their mind strong, kept their mind sharp, who are able to make decisions, tough decisions, when the going gets tough. Okay, so do not become overly reliant on AI.
Your text messages, you didn't ask, but it's there. You upload every single app and it's got some weird pop-up. You go into Instagram, Meta AI wants to harass you and generate an image. If AI was going to help, it would have been helping already. And I think we're entering this point where this is nothing. We're at the beginning of history. We're not at the end of history, Mr. Fukuyama, which I realize is a misquote. But we're not at a point where, oh, this is just the beginning. We're reaching this thing where we're realizing that everybody made a huge mistake. Everyone has invested in this thing for really effectively no reason. The actual data keeps showing that there is no productivity growth. There was another study the other day where it was like 75% of chief information officers were finding that they would have to, in the next 6 months, prove that AI had any worth, or they'd have their budgets cut. I realize we've seen over $1 trillion invested since 2022 now, if you count all the venture capital and all the capex. We've seen all of this money. We've had AI screaming in our ears. Every time we open a drawer, there's an AI in there. There's a large language model in everything now. And nothing seems to have happened other than the birth of a new, more annoying Twitter personality.
And if you think about it, AI in its current form, all it is, especially the ones given to the general public, is just a glorified search engine. Whereas before you would have to, go into Google, search up the thing that you're trying to look for, and it will give you a referral to a website where you have to dig through the data, where you have to dig through the information and process it yourself to come up with a conclusion. Now it is kind of just formatted for you, where you don't even have to. Most people who use AI, right, and they get some sort of answer, they don't then read the whole thing. They just kind of copy and paste it and be like, yeah, I trust that this is the solution. This is the correct thing to do, and then they just copy and paste it into whatever work that they're doing. And now even the ability to check your own work, to check somebody else's work is just being thrown out the window. People aren't capable of doing that anymore, and it leaves the general public weaker and weaker. So is the nefarious thing that these tech companies are trying to do, these AI companies, to weaken the human decision making, the human intelligence? Are they trying to make you dumber on purpose, right? Is that because that is what is happening? That is what is being sold to the people right now.
I think what we're seeing here is the beginning of a hysterical episode, following another hysterical episode where everyone said that something was happening when it wasn't.
And when you have an hysterical episode, it is easier for these tech companies, governments to come in to offer new solutions, to offer more overreach, more bureaucracy, more red tape in order to control you. There'll be more control mechanisms put in place because you as a person can't be trusted. Okay, if you want to escape this, then you need to establish yourself as a king, build your kingdom, which is what we do here at Raw Instinct.
And I sound sarcastic, but look at the data. 90% of them said no impact on employment or productivity. Literally nothing changed other than they spent a lot of money on something and everyone had to use it. Accenture is now saying that they are forcing people to use their AI. They will be checking, and your performance evaluation will be based on your use of AI. It's what happens when something isn't really working. Great example.
And if a big, huge company like Accenture, which is a consultancy company, management consultancies, if they're trying to push this AI onto its employees, and then until the point where AI is so ingrained into the system, and there's a point where AI is getting better and better and better, right? And people's over reliancy is causing people's critical thinking skills, their decision making skills to fall, right? Their IQ levels to fall, and then at some stage there'll be such a big gap where it just makes more sense for big companies to replace humans with AI to do the tasks, to do those jobs. Okay, and AI is much cheaper than human capital, than human paying human wages, and that is what these companies are hoping for. That is what they're trying to do.
When the iPhone came out, for example, we were still in the early days of bring your own device with software companies or companies. So you wouldn't be able to just bring any phone with you. You would have to have one provisioned by the company. There was a growth of companies that did BYOD, but you had this thing called shadow IT happening. You had people secretly using their iPhones, and indeed shadow IT spread into other kinds of software. People were using the software they wanted to use at work. It was the opposite of being forced. In fact, they were using it without their IT managers liking it. This is the opposite. This is the boss saying, no, use my software. Use it, you pig. I want to see you using AI, because we're in the era of the business idiot. The people that run these companies don't do real work. They're pushing AI.
Yeah, it is all just a big Ponzi scheme. Especially if you are somebody who works in a corporate job. A lot of the tasks are redundant. They are just paper pushing exercises, a waste of time. And a lot of people, if you really, they've done studies where people who go to work 9 to 5 in these big corporations, they sometimes do about, in reality, 1 hour's worth of work a day. In some cases even less. Okay, some people get away with just doing 20 minutes of actual work. The other time is just spent sending random emails, people pretending to be productive. Okay, and a lot of big company CEOs, heads of companies, they're realizing this, and they're trying to crack down and optimize for productivity by turning towards technology. Okay, and a lot of these AI tech CEOs, their secret plan is for them to usher in an age where humans worship AI, are overly reliant on AI. The AI gets so smart that it can dictate where humans go, where human civilization goes towards. And these tech CEOs are trying to isolate themselves with the wealth that they're extracting from these companies, and try to gain favor with the AI technology that is headed our way.
Because everyone's blaring in their ear that AI is important, but when it comes to actually doing real work, it just doesn't seem to do it. Even the supposed speed ups for software engineers, what does that actually result in? What is the result of this? What is the thing that's actually happened? No one seems to be able to tell, which is crazy considering the amount of money invested.
I definitely want to get into your assessment of whether or not you think.
I think AI is just, it is a trend, it is a hype where people are worried that that if they don't jump on it right now, if big companies don't integrate it into their infrastructure right now, then they will be left behind. And right now it is a race to the bottom. Many people are afraid of what is going to happen in the future. Everything's becoming more and more expensive. People are worried about the states of their societies, and they are trying to extract as much resources, as much money out of these companies as possible. And the biggest losers, the biggest people who will be failed by this is the actual employees within those companies. They will be discarded, which is how the elites see you. They will use and abuse you, and once you are no longer useful to them, they will discard you like a piece of chewing gum.
The assumed productivity growth from this study as well is worth the money. But first of all, do you think that AI, or more specifically the AI that people are familiar with, like Gemini or ChatGPT, do you think that will eventually mature enough that it will become as sort of commonplace as a laptop is now?
I mean, it already is, but not through choice. It already is very common. They're shoving it down our throats. It's as common as a laptop because when you load a Windows 11 laptop now, Copilot's there. It's like a vagrant moved into your basement. It's like a person's crawled through your vents and starts telling you that it could generate a summary of your emails. It's commonplace, but not through any consent from the user side. I don't think these models are improving in a way that...
Yeah, it is becoming so ingrained that it will be, very quickly in the next couple of months, it will be so ingrained in the system that you wouldn't have realized that it happened. First of all, like even if you buy the new iPhones, they are AI ready. Their Gemini, their series that they have working in the background, they are running and being implemented without your consent, without your knowledge. And who knows what data this AI is able to extract from you. Many people use ChatGPT as a therapist, as a best friend. They confine their darker secrets to this AI, which I discourage you to do. But you don't know what that data is being used for. You don't know what they have planned, what images they're building of you. They are trying to create these biometric images of you. Will that information be sold to big corporations in order to sell you better, sell you products better? Will they gaslight you into having certain problems and then sell you the solution at the same time? One ideal world for if you are the owner of one of these big conglomerates. But let's jump into this other video.
Morgan, if he would apologize for being in the Epstein files.
Would you like to apologize for being with Ghislaine Maxwell and being in the Epstein files? Would you like to apologize for that?
No.
Based, no apology.
Seriously though, what's going on with this guy? I'm sure everybody that knows him has heard about the Peter Thiel accusations. And I want to state clearly that I am very suspicious of this woman because now
Peter Thiel is also a guy who has invested a lot of money into AI. He funded, I believe, Sam Altman's education. He funded OpenAI, one of the initial seed investors. He helped establish that company, bring it forth as the behind-the-scenes guy. He's also invested in Palantir, He was formerly part of the PayPal mafia. He is a big contractor for the CIA, for the US Army, for the US government. And then you have this guy who is potentially funding this influencer who is pushing looks maxing onto the youth, which is basically, you're trying to improve your looks, and maximize it as much as you can. And some of the stuff that he recommends is to inject yourself with different peptides, different steroids. He himself is on TRT, and he encourages bone smashing to make your cheekbones more pronounced, more prominent, in order for you to maximize how attractive you are. And it is a dark and dark path that he is leading the youth into. And is he potentially being funded by these billionaires who have a nefarious plan working in the background?
Not only did she seemingly come out of nowhere, but she works for the Dubai royal family. Who is she? And why did she try to accuse Clavicular of being funded by Peter Thiel? But also, why did Peter Thiel invite Clav to a party? Since at least 2017, the people invited to party with Peter Thiel, at least the ones we heard about, were usually CEOs, billionaire investors, and politicians.
What is the point of inviting these people to a party? It is what Jeffrey Epstein was running. He invites you to these parties. He tries to compromise you, to blackmail you, to gain favor with you so that he has some sort of influence over you. And that is what Peter Thiel was probably hoping for. I'm not sure if he was if he went to the Epstein Island, but these circles run small. And it is very, very possible that he did. It is possible that he is running his own honeypot operation. You never know with these people, and he wants to influence. He wants these influencers to come so that they can push his narrative, his message. Like even the Vice President JD Vance is somebody who was funded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel also funded Trump in his next election, and then when it comes down to the decisions making that impact his way of thinking, his view on the world, which is fucked up anyway if you look into it, then he is able to push his own agendas through those people, through the key decision makers. He is trying to construct and orchestrate people into positions so that when the decisions are needed, that he wants, that because of his prior relationship with them, the prior help that he provided in their careers, that they are willing to provide him the favors that he asked for. Okay. And the other thing is, Peter Thiel is gay. Is he just trying to fuck Clavicular? I mean, these looks maxers think that they're going to become successful just by becoming pretty boys. In fact, all they are really is just kind of advertising to these sugar daddies, to these, for them to become their personal sex slaves, right? So is Peter Thiel just trying to fuck Clavicular? Let's find out.
But Clav himself has always said he was non-political. But still, there's been a lot of association with his name and Peter. But when I think about Clavicular being invited to Peter's party, it also makes me think about the several news outlets that reported that Peter's alleged boyfriend that he cheated on his husband with died mysteriously after working with people behind the scenes to push.
It's always amazes me that when you look at these billionaires, right, like there's always these random deaths that occur around them. Like people always disappear mysteriously. There's a guy, an OpenAI whistleblower, who mysteriously died. And it was alleged a suicide attempt. Or I mean, he did commit suicide allegedly. But he was also a whistleblower about what was really going on at that company. All right, so you have these dubious circumstances, these shadow players getting rid of the opposition, getting rid of people who are in their way. And then this person that Peter Thiel was involved with also mysteriously dies. Okay, you have to kind of think that, are they able to get rid of people because they have so much influence, because they have so much money that they can throw at this situation? It is a weird and wonderful way of looking at it, weird and wonderful way of dealing with it, how they do deal with it. Okay, they have all the influences, they have all the connections, they have all the money to make people disappear, and then they are never asked about it, they are never confronted about it, they are never brought to justice. What is going on?
Peter out of politics. Now, Peter Thiel is a man who was mentioned over 2,000 times in the Epstein files.
There you go. So earlier I said I wasn't sure. Well, 2,000 times he was mentioned in the Epstein files. It's funny that it's always the same people. It's the people at the top. It's the decision makers. It's the power players. It's the billionaires who are all in this list. What the fuck is going
And he
on?
also received over $100 million from the US government. If you know who Peter Thiel is, then you don't need me to give you a rundown on why he scares me. But he's best known for being the founder of a company that totally doesn't store people's data, despite the fact that it was named after a fictional mass surveillance device from Lord of the Rings. Which I actually didn't know at first, but I should have figured it was something sinister since
I mean, the symbolism that they choose to use always, it's always these weird things that they do, right? Like even like like Palantir, for example, and then also Peter Thiel, he wrote this recently, this paper, this book called The Antichrist, and then he done a whole tour about trying to tell people how he is not the Antichrist, okay, which is really actually the opposite of what the Antichrist would do, right? He would literally tell you all about it and then tell you that, oh, it's not me, by the way. And he kind of wants to take away power from the general public. He doesn't believe in competition. He believes that monopoly is the way forward. He doesn't believe in democracy. He wants to take away power. He wants to be the person in charge, in control. Okay. And I believe a lot of the things that is actually happening is that these people are psychologically damaged, where they have so much fear, so much worries, that they are overconsumed, and then they are kind of nihilistic because they don't believe that humans have a capacity to find solutions, and that they are kind of speed running the end of the world so that they can be right and that they can be safe from any potential fallout. Okay, so a lot of the things that are being orchestrated in the background are the fears coming forth from these people, leading to the world into a dark and dooming corner.
Palantir is not a real word. But recently, there has been a rumor that the billionaire Peter Thiel was helping fund the rise of Clavicular, which is possibly due to people trying to link the similarities in both of their views, but that might be a bit of a stretch, as Clav is known for being obsessed with achieving perfection when it comes to his physical appearance, and
even like this Clavicular guy, when you look at him, he is on meth, right? Like, he is a known meth addict. He is he smokes that shit, he snorts it. He says to make his face more gaunt, to make his for him to have more of a model like face. It keeps his body fat low, he says. But he's also like, he always appears dissociated, right? Which is, I mean, he's probably just high. But is it because he is a victim of a MK Ultra type mind control that that the CIA has done, that that these secret organizations, these shadow governments are trying to implement? Is he just is he an agent of the deep state? The fact that he is being funded by Peter Thiel, linked, allegedly being funded by him. What is going on? Is he smoking meth, in order to mask the pain of his abuse by these people? We need to find out.
Peter mostly just seems to be a billionaire that might want to rule the world one day, and is currently using any politician he can to achieve that goal. So I don't really see what would connect him to a streamer, but this lady, I don't know. So two things are being used to link Peter to Clavicular's rise. One is that on stream, he winked at the camera and said that a person referred to as P loaned him $150,000. And some people believe this to be Peter Thiel.
I got P. I got you. P loaned me $150,000.
Exactly. I mean, who the fuck is just casually lending $150,000? A very, very wealthy person. And why? Because they want something back from it. What do they want? It is his booty hole. Okay. Are they trying to clap his cheeks, or are they trying to use him to influence the next generation to be more dumber, which is what AI is doing? So you're kind of being attacked from all corners, right? Even if you're not using AI, then your children are just watching these streamers about looks maxing, thinking that is a great career path, that is a great thing to do. Smoking meth, right? Losing brain cells. Like, I mean, if you hit yourself with a fucking hammer, you are losing brain cells, right? You're using IQ points, okay? And then you're smoking meth on top of it, right? Like, this is who the role models of the next generation is. This is who the people the kids are looking up to in today's society. It is disgusting. It is a worry for the future.
For the car.
Now, a person being referred to as P doesn't really provide any proof, and the wink, although suspicious, also doesn't prove that P is Peter Thiel. And in an interview he did with,
I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I mean, these guys that are looks obsessed, they're wearing makeup, is very homosexual from any angle that you look at it. Okay, you know, are they trying to attract men, wealthy men? Are they trying to be sugar babies to these men? Are they trying to compete with women to gain, you know, because, you know, women might be getting a billionaire sugar daddy, but there's also gay billionaires in the world. Right? Sam Altman's gay, Peter Thiel's gay. Are they trying to, you know, is that the future of these young men, that they are just making themselves pretty in order to get a rich a rich gay billionaire sugar daddy? Like, it is crazy where the world's going. This is why, you know, I mean, if you're watching this, you probably are a little bit worried about the state of the future, where we are headed, right? And this is why I decided to do this channel, is to reach out to people who are like me, who want to bring about change, who can see that where the world is headed is not a great place. Okay. This is a time where I am looking for people who want to come together and change the world, to do something that has never been done before, look for creative ways to improve and stay safe.
this woman, he became visibly upset when she suggested that he was being funded by Thiel.
That Peter Thiel backs you?
That is fake news, yeah.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me?
No. Well, Peter Thiel does. I mean, you get like the correlation, right?
Not really.
Another instance is the fact that Clavicular has said himself multiple times that he was invited to a party by Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel's trying to get in your...
Dude, that was the craziest one. I swear.
You played that perfectly, bro.
Yeah, I got blacklisted from his events now. That's what I heard.
Bro, I called up Ed the other day and I was like, yo, I got an invite to this party with a bunch of billionaires.
What company was it?
Bro, I don't even know.
want to study the state.
Yeah, let's not even don't even get.
I mean, do you think that if you got an invite, a person who's willing to, you know, who smokes meth, who is willing to do ridiculous things to his face, ridiculous things to his body, you know, for money, for clout, would a person like that turn down an invitation to a billionaire party? It's probably the main reason this guy got into it. Okay. So I believe he's compromised. I believe he has attended. He is somebody who, you know, probably had to bend over, you know, and take her up the rear end in order to please his billionaire masters.
Give him the club, bro. They're listening right now. And then he's like, you can only come on your own. And I'm like, whoa. Like,
But he declined to go, even comparing it to a
Yeah, I mean, look, how dodgy does that sound? Okay, you have to go on your own, and who knows what the fuck will happen at these parties? Okay, it is exactly what Diddy done with his baby oil parties. This is exactly what Epstein done, taking these people to the private island, to, you know, put you in a compromising position to gain power over you.
Diddy party. Now, to me, this seems to be a rabbit hole that could go much deeper, but in a completely different direction than most people think. Do I think Clav was trolling when he said Peter invited him to a party? No, I actually believe that. But the only reason I can picture a 58-year-old man inviting a 20-year-old influencer to his party is that he wanted to start a relationship with him. Because although Thiel is married, another influencer, Jeff Thomas, was identified as his boyfriend.
I mean, he looks a bit like Clavicular, doesn't he? That guy. If you put, you know, same sort of archetype, if you want to say. And this is a person that he had an affair with. Is Clavicular the next person, the next pet of Peter Thiel? That is the way I think it looks right now. And is Clavicular smoking meth in order to dissociate himself, to not think of the mistakes that he has made in being in bed with Palantir and Peter Thiel?
At least up until New Year's Eve 2022, when something happened. Now, multiple sources state that Peter's husband was angry about Jeff being present at Peter's New Year's Eve party. And that's obviously impossible to confirm, because if this guy was his boyfriend and it was supposedly a secret, I don't get why he would be at a party that Teal's husband would also be present at. But what's widely agreed on is that about 3 months later, Jeff fell to his death at a condo in Miami. And this was a simple open and shut case. The Miami police didn't suspect any foul play, and some sources even claim that he might have fallen while taking a selfie. But since none of us were there, we can't say for sure what happened. But part of the reason it looked so suspicious was because a couple months before the New Year's Eve party, a man that was trying to find dirt on Peter Thiel had invited Jeff to meet him at the fancy Polo Lounge restaurant in Beverly Hills, which is how we got the confirmation that Jeff and Thiel actually met at Coachella in 2015, and that Thiel actually put him in a $13 million mansion somewhere around LA. Now, could he have been trying to do the same thing with Clavicular, and this is why he got a party invite? It's very possible, and that also makes Clab's comparison of Peter's party to a Diddy party a little more spot on. But all of this ties into a conspiracy theory that Peter wanted to somehow take advantage of Clab's influence, which would definitely fit the agenda of a scary billionaire, as the whole looks-maxing thing is very influential. But Clab didn't start this movement, and it's actually been going on since the 2010s, when he would have still been a child, but to his credit, he did make it more popular.
I mean, it's crazy to think that you know, that once these people have power, once these people have influence, that this is what they end up doing. Okay, you know, they will, you know, overpower you with their wealth, with their connections, and then in order, you have to compromise yourself, your beliefs, your values, to fit in order to make some money. And that is where the world is heading. Okay, if you understand what is happening around you, if you want to be if you want to stay away and safe, if you don't want Peter Thiel to crawl into your bed at night and do God knows what the fuck, you need to develop a kingdom so that you can stay safe, so that you can be away from their influence, away from their problems that they have, away from the problems that they are trying to cause in the world. This is what we are doing here at Raw Instinct. We are building nations. We are building alliances to bring about change, to bring about a new world view.
Than ever. But in my opinion, this woman, Micah, is who raises the most questions. So I had never heard of her, and somehow she had $15,000 to pay Clavicular for an interview. And out of everything she could have talked about, she chose to ask him about Palantir and Peter Thiel, which is completely outside of the world Clavicular lives in. This guy isn't involved in politics and fundraising. He walks around Miami and Arizona trying to have sex with women. Out of every influencer Peter Thiel could be associated with, I just fail to see why.
And Peter, you have to understand this, Clavicular, because of the amount of testosterone that he has taken, his balls have shrank. So he is currently infertile. He can't get an erection unless he is using Viagra and Cialis. So, you know, even the whole point of looks maxing, you know, if he's saying is to get girls, it doesn't actually, you can't do anything with those girls, right? Because he has a non-functioning penis.
This guy will be one of them. So I did some research, and this woman is Michaela LaLuz. I hope I said her last name right. And she doesn't even have 30,000 followers on Instagram, and she has less than 100,000 on TikTok. So if anything, it would appear that someone was funding her. And I'm just being fair, because even though I don't agree with everything this guy does, I won't pretend that this narrative makes sense. I'll admit that I was suspicious when he got upset about her asking him about Peter Thiel, but then I had to question, who is this girl? And who gave her $15,000 to pay someone for an interview? Especially in this era where everyone has a podcast. But apparently, she didn't just come out of nowhere, and she has a public LinkedIn profile that makes me very suspicious. She claims to work for a company in the private office of a Dubai prince, which right there shows that whatever she says needs to be analyzed.
I mean, is she a private sugar baby of one of these sheikhs in Dubai? It's very possible. You know, a lot of women go to Dubai and do, questionable things, for money. And this is maybe what Clavicular is doing for Peter Thiel, the same thing, right? So more wealthy people are trying to gain influence over you. More wealthy people are trying to sexually compromise you, which is why here at Raw Instinct, we stay out of it. We become subject matter experts so that you never have to sexually compromise yourself. We become experts. We're seen as authorities. We are then crowning ourselves kings because that's what we are. We are going to live the life of luxury. We will be replacing all the elites, all the evil people in the world. Okay, if you're disgusted about what is happening around you, you need to take charge. You need to be the change you want to see in the world. And the way to achieve that is to be part of the Royal Alliance of Kings that I'm building, the Amicis that I'm forming here at Raw Instinct. If you want to be part of it, if you want to have people around you that really care about you, that want to stand side by side with you when the shit hits the fan, when the wars to come will begin, we'll be there to have your back and to fight with you, alongside you.
Because it's well known that to be an influencer in the UAE, there are certain things you have to agree to say and not say. And despite going to college in Canada, she's been working in the UAE since at least 2022. And before that, it says she was a NFT collector? What the fuck am I reading? So it appears that she is funded by the royal family of Dubai, which I only say because she works as an advisor in the Sheikh's private office. But how does someone get in a position like this? It's clear that she already had money before 2022 if she was collecting NFTs, and she appears to have been a manager and actress in some type of children's series. But before that, in 2017, she was also some kind of host, interviewing very prominent people, as she even provided pictures of herself with the former president of Poland.
I mean, it's clear that she's just a sugar baby, right? Like, she's just there for good looks. She is being used as a sex slave, and now she is being, sent out to, potentially put a clavicular in a honey trap. Is it another honey trap operation similar to what Jeffrey Epstein was running? Is that what is going on right now? It's how the world is working. The world is becoming a smaller and smaller place, and a lot of people, you cannot really trust them. Okay, beautiful women are being used as bait in order to catch rich and famous people, in order to get them to say random shit, and ways in which that they can be compromised in.
Poland, which is something that she was apparently doing while she was a student at Ryerson University. So does the UAE want people to think that this random kick streamer was funded by Peter Thiel? Or does she truly believe this accusation for some unknown reason? Who gave her this information? Now, I will say, it's very interesting that Peter Thiel has made some pretty big investments in the UAE, which would fit with Clav's accusation that Michaela is being funded by Peter Thiel. But her being funded by Peter Thiel would only make sense if maybe Peter was trying to give back a clavicular for turning down his party invitation. Because theoretically, Peter Thiel's public image is so bad that merely accusing someone of being funded by him would make that person seem less credible. But again, all of this is a bit of a stretch. Her connections to the UAE are not though, and they are very strange to me. But we have to remember that the US runs on a never-ending back and forth distraction war between two sides. And it
is a very weird game of chess that is being played here. Is she funded by Peter Thiel? Is he funded by Peter Thiel? Are they both being funded by Peter Thiel and then being pitted against each other for, just for Peter Thiel's name to be out there? It is a wild thing to witness. Okay. And if you want to be somebody who is, not infected by this AI virus, if you want to be somebody who is not infected by Peter Thiel's influence, if you want to stay away and keep your arsehole a virgin arsehole, if you want to be somebody who wants to take charge of their own life, you need to get rid of your self-doubt, of your negative thoughts that you have within your head, because once you get rid of your self-doubt, you are free to unleash your personality onto the world. And that is what we do here at Raw Instinct. We use our charm, our natural personality to build kingdoms around it, to build to become kings, because we don't have any self-doubt holding us back, right? Because once you get rid of that, then you are free to do as you please. And the best way to do it now is we'll be looking into the overthinking trap. Let's jump into this video.
And I'm spending it inside looking at a screen, editing this video you're watching right now. Or when it's past midnight and I'm glued to my chair whilst everyone else is sleeping. Just me, my desk, and my inflated expectations. The sobering truth, nothing good ever comes after midnight. What felt like gold at 2 AM was actually frantic ramblings from a malnourished mind. Cancel plans, work odd hours, and soon your hobby's a miserable chore. What began as a passion devolved into a way to excuse taking the next day off, watching TV guilt-free like someone who's on a diet and fasts for a day just so he can have a whole tub of conscience-free ice cream tomorrow. Now, although this is still a work in progress, and yes, I get the irony of writing about writing too much, this confession will reveal how to break free from the metaphorical chair and think less, live more. The armchair.
And that is a big problem in today's society. Most people are trapped inside their heads and trapped inside by their own thoughts, and not taking any actions in real life, not living there within real life. Okay, most people are stuck, worried about possible scenarios that might happen or might never happen, and then they end up in a state where they don't move forward. Their life is stagnant, and they're literally rotting away. If you are somebody like that and you want to change that, you need to get rid of that self-doubt. You need to get rid of those thoughts that you have in your head that are holding you back, because once you get rid of that, you are free to express yourself. Okay, your negative thinking and your self-doubt is depressing you, and literally pushing down your soul. And if you get rid of it, then you're free to express yourself. Okay, express your soul onto the world. And when you are expressing your soul, when you are in your life purpose, expressing your soul fully, you'll be a very productive person, a very happy person. You'll be in a very charming person, right? You will change the trajectory of your life. And once you change the trajectory that you are in, it is easy for you to crown yourself a king, right? And why would you become a king if you can do all that? It's because most people can't. Most people are plagued by their self-doubt. Even these rich people, even these billionaires, right? Why are they so hell-bent on destroying the earth? It's because they have so much self-doubt, but they have the money to shelter themselves from the problems and then speed run the problems for everybody else. Okay, so that that there is possibly a nuclear fallout, and that they can be safe in their billionaire bunkers, right? Whereas here at Raw Instinct, the way we differentiate ourselves is that we are kings. We are philosopher kings, benevolent kings. We want the best for humanity. We don't believe in destroying the earth for our benefit. We want to make the world a better place, okay? Because we know as kings that we will be the beneficiaries of those decisions, right? If you want to be a good person, if you want to be a good king, a philosopher king, then you need to make the decision. You need to crown yourself, get rid of the self-doubt that is holding you back, and unleash your total personality onto the world. If you want help with that, that is what I'm here to do. I am here sending out the bat signal. I am recruiting the Amichis. I am assembling the Avengers. I want you, if you ever felt that you wanted to do something special in your life, that you were destined for something great, this is your moment. Okay, reach out to me. Let me know that you accept the challenge, that you want to be a part of it. This is the moment that you get to decide to get up off your ass and do something with your life, or you decide to remain an NPC, a background character, who doesn't go on the hero's journey, who doesn't grow as a person, who doesn't get to live a life of a king. If that is, if you want to stay small, fair enough. But if you have that ambition, if you have that drive and you want to change it and achieve the success that you are supposed to achieve, if you want to fulfill your destiny, then you need to work with me. You need to join the Amichis. You need to join the Royal Alliance that I am forming here at Raw Instinct. Let's work together. Let's find, I'm trying to look for people who understand what it is that I'm saying, who want to do the same thing that I want to do, to change the world. And I want to find 100 people to join me on this mission, right? Because imagine us 100 kings all working together, coming up with creative ideas, changing the world, benefiting the world. It will be us who will be the new elites, who will rule the earth. We are the new de facto rulers of the world.
Chair adventurer. Being an amateur writer with hermit tendencies is so easy for me to become isolated and live life stuck to a chair. If I were to live the rest of my life this way, where the closest thing to experience would be when I stare out the window, or when I order a takeaway at an ungodly hour, life would pass me by and I'd be nothing but an armchair adventurer. More on this neurosis later, but briefly, the armchair adventurer is a hermit who lives a provisional life as if it were a dress rehearsal, spending his days in the safety of his own home as if he will get another life to make up for his lack of adventure in his current one. The Greek philosopher Seneca says this existence is what defines the fool. In his words, the fool is always getting ready to live. They're experts at telling people what their plans are, but rarely go further than that, just ideas without action. But as Carl Jung said,
yeah, you need to be a person who is ready to step forward into the arena, into a position where you might feel uncomfortable, where you might feel that you can't determine the outcome. Okay, but if you go into the darkness, if you go into the forest, something will happen there, right? You will learn a lesson. You will find a new piece of information that will propel you forward. And once you collect enough information, once you collect enough resources, once you try enough times, you will see a pattern. You will see a way out of your predicament. And you can only experience that if you are willing to try, if you're willing to fail, if you're willing to collect experience. Okay, you have to kind of be in the battle to understand how to get out of it. Okay, if you are stuck as an armchair, it's sitting in your armchair, if you're just rotting away in your bedroom, reading information on the internet, hoping that you can gain knowledge and then you'll be ready, you're never going to be ready to step out actually into battle. Okay, so you have to become somebody who is willing to take risks, somebody who's willing to put yourself out there, which is exactly what I'm doing here every day. I'm here, putting myself out here. I'm here, looking out for people, sending the message to people, right? And I don't know who it will be that that reaches out to me, but so far the people who have reached out to me, they've been great people. We've been on the same page. I'm helping them build kingdoms. I'm helping them establishing themselves as authorities, as subject matter experts. And those are the types of people that I'm going to be friends with. Those are the types of people that I want to spend most of my time with. Those are the types of people that when there is a big fallout, the next crises across the globe, that it will be us standing together, protecting ourselves, protecting our kingdoms from these issues that the world will be experiencing.
Said, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Although I've learnt to keep my own plans to myself, what I am susceptible to is overthinking and underliving. I'm 26, I shouldn't be trapping myself inside overthinking about life's problems. I should be experiencing the real world and living life. Before we were all chronically online, previous generations would have the village hermit who would shut himself off from the world, but he'd still have to venture out for supplies. We know
now the hermits are the incels who are stuck in their bedroom, who are just chronically online all day. And that is what the world elites want. They want you stuck in your bedrooms. They want you stuck in 50-minute cities. If you look at what the agenda for the World Economic Forum is, Agenda 2030, that is their master plan, to have you stuck in your room in 50-minute cities, plugged into the internet, plugged into the metaverse, so that they can control you, control your mind, feed you the information that they want you to consume. They want total control over you. If you want to remain autonomous, if you want to remain free, be in control of your freedom, then you need to build yourself a kingdom so that you are isolated. Here at Raw Instant, we are raising money to buy private islands so that we can be sheltered from when these issues become prevalent in
now
society.
live in a time where you can order a filet mignon on Uber Eats in the middle of the night and ask them to drop it at your door, no interaction necessary. It's also never been easier to simulate experience through a screen, which can offer us limitless portals into other people's more adventurous lives that we're too afraid to live ourselves, further bypassing the guilt of not leaving the house until, before you know it, you've become the hermit who camps upstairs in a family gathering whilst they gossip about you at the table. Personally, I think I'm more prone to putting off living because I've merged my hobby with my career, so it's easier to justify working over the clock and cancelling plans. Too often I've decided to stay in instead of going out with friends because I feel as if I'd be wasting valuable time being away from my screen of endless possibilities and promises. Even if I have writer's block, I'd try to force it instead of taking it as a sign that I need to find more inspiration living in the real world. The philosopher Nietzsche once said, all truly great thoughts are conceived while walking. If you can't walk, any form of locomotion's accepted.
And then once you are stuck in a 50-minute city, there'll be no place for you to walk. You just get to walk 15 minutes this way and 15 minutes back. And then, there'll probably be a curfew for you as well, that you can't stay outside for longer than half an hour. So, people's health will deteriorate. You won't be able to walk outside to gather new ideas. And the other thing is, most people don't actually live on Earth anymore. They live on the internet. That is the new country that they spend their time in. They communicate on the internet. They live on the internet. They get the information from the internet. And now with AI, that information is being more and more curated. Agendas being pushed via the LLMs, and via the algorithms of these social media platforms. Okay, they want to dumb you down. They want to control you. They want you to not trust in yourself. They want you weak, so that they can exert their influence. It will be very soon that Peter Thiel will be knocking on your door and trying to pay for your booty hole. If that is the case, if you want to stay away from that, if you don't want that to happen, then you need to build a kingdom. You need to build a new system so that you are protected, so that you are somebody who is able to stay control of your life, to keep your freedoms, to be in control of your freedom, to stay autonomous, to be a person who is able to decide what it is that you want to do, which is what we're all about here at Raw Instinct. You need to isolate yourself from these evil people.
Even outdoors, I'd sometimes zone out mid-chat when the topic is, what's your favourite biscuit? And my brain would be like, if you keep taking part of the biscuit away, when does it stop being a biscuit? Psychoanalysis of the armchair adventurer. Carl Jung would attribute...
And a lot of these viewers of Clavicular are armchair adventurers, okay? They are watching his content, living vicariously through him, because most people are too afraid to put themselves out there, right? Whatever you think, whatever I think of Clavicular, the fact of the matter is that he has built a kingdom about looks maxing. He has built a kingdom. He has crowned himself king, becoming the most famous looks maxer. He has been able to exert influence. What he's doing with that fame, that power that he's gathering, I don't agree with, but the way he done it is a correct way to do it. Okay, he chose his life purpose. He became a subject matter expert in looks maxing and was able to crown himself a king at it, and now he is making money through his purpose. However, here at Raw Instinct, I don't want you to be the type of person to do something dumb like that. Right? Use your influence, use your interest for good. Be interested in good things. Lead the world into a good place instead of leading them to be people who just smash their bones, smash hammers onto the faces in order for themselves to make themselves look more attractive for billionaires like Peter Thiel. Here at Raw Instinct, we are crowning ourselves kings. We are going into our life purpose in order to get the hottest women in the world, to get the queens, because as kings, they'll naturally want to be a queen by our side. We are building harems. We are taking over the world. The world is ours, okay? If you understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm doing, then reach out to me. Let's work together. But that is it for today. Thank you very much, and I will see you later.